We're talking about movies. With the release of The Marvels and Loki Season 2 on the same day, it perfectly sums up the current state of Marvel. Let's start with The Marvels. The Marvels was just released and stars Brie Larson and is written and directed by Nia DaCosta. Look, going into this, I heard it was absolutely garbage, so color me surprised when I found it to be not that bad. I put this very on par with the recent Marvel films like Ant-Man 3 and Thor Love and Thunder, which overall is the problem. But it's not as bad as, like, Morbius, which is horrible. So there's the headline you can run with. The Marvels is not as bad as Morbius. The main positive, which everyone is taking away from the Marvels, is Iman Vellani is great as Miss Marvel. She brings a lot of charisma, a lot of positive energy. She is really the only standout of the film. I never watched her show because I thought the first episode was kind of lame, but maybe now I'll go back and take a look at it and give it a shot. The first 45 minutes were not bad. I was, like, sitting there kind of wondering why everybody was saying it was awful. I was like, it's not great. It's kind of middle of the road. But then the second half is where it gets kind of rough. A lot of CGI lasers everywhere. A lot of plot questionable things that go on. So I thought it kind of fell apart in the second half. The villain is pretty bad. This is one of, like, the OG classic horrible Marvel villains. Kind of dumb, no real plan or threat. She has this stupid bingle that's, like, the same as Miss Marvel's bingle, and they established very early on in the movie, hey, we can't shoot our CGI laser beams at this because it absorbs all our energy. And then every time they face her or fight her, they shoot their energy beams directly at her and let her absorb it. And they're like, oh no, we lost. It's like, well, you already talked about how you can't do that, and then you proceeded to do it, like, the whole time. The movie's been out for a little bit now, so I'm going to get into some very, very light spoilers. Nothing crazy here. I thought that they did two big gimmicks that they kind of went for it, and they ended up being kind of silly. The music planet served no real rhyme or reason, and I think there is actually a fun way to do that. Like, if you go to the planet and you have to sing, like, it's not like, oh, they can only communicate with singing, because then they do all this singing and stuff. They're speaking English, it doesn't really matter. And then the one person that they actually talk to on this planet can talk normally. So it's like, okay, well, there was no point to that. There was no obstacle to be overcome. You didn't, like, have to sing to communicate with them. Nothing got accomplished out of that. And then the thing with the cats was just kind of random, because where did all these eggs come from? Are they saying that the one Captain Marvel cat gave birth to these, like, 80 cat eggs? And it was just random. It was just kind of out of nowhere. It was kind of funny watching the cats eat the people, but I mean, it was kind of random in the sense of the movie. And then there were two, I think, writing errors that the writers made that they didn't think about. So they established that the three women, all their powers are connected and they switch places when they're moving. And Carol decided to fly straight up in the sky knowing this and dropped the girl from the sky when they switched. Like, you didn't think that would happen. That seems a little irresponsible that you just dropped this child from the sky. That was kind of dumb. And then at the end, when they go to confront the villain, she has an army with her all movie, but then when they go to confront her, they literally just roll up straight to her. They don't have to fight people to get to her. They literally just walk right up to her on her ship. Like, there's no access point that you have to go through. You can literally just, like, show up and talk to her. I think that they wanted to get the movie over with at that point. They're like, okay, it's 2 hours if we do this fight, but we could cut it down to an hour 45 if we just have them show up at the villain's doorstep and not need to get anywhere to get to her. I liked Kamala's family. They were kind of like boomers, and they, like, provided some good humor in that, where they just kind of didn't know what was going on. I like the interaction between the three ladies. They seemed like they got along fine. I hated the overuse of CGI. Everything is a CGI laser, especially the end where they're just in space and they're giant laser holes in the sky and everything. It's kind of a lot. There is a mid-credit scene at the end that is really cool. But my one complaint with it is the character that they bring back is a pre-established character from older movies, and in those older movies they used practical effects on the character and they looked great. And this, it's a big CGI monster, so it's like, why didn't you just do the practical effects? Because the practical effects look good when you did them. I guess that's just how they make movies now, which is sad. I wish they would use practical effects in more stuff because it looks way better. So overall, very meh. I did not think it was awful, but it wasn't great. And I think that is kind of the problem with Marvel right now, is they're putting out stuff that isn't necessarily awful, but it's also not what it used to be. Would I recommend it? I'll give it the same as I gave Ant-Man 3. If you like the MCU, yes, go ahead and watch it. It's not going to ruin it for you. If you're not super into the MCU, you could pass on this one. It's not going to affect you in your life in any way, shape, or form. So Marvel's in kind of an odd spot right now. They had that Variety article come out about all their problems they got going on, a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and the projects they keep putting out are ranging from bad to okay. Except when they turn back the clock, literally. Loki Season 2 is the reason you cannot completely write off Marvel. After an incredible Season 1, they do it again with Season 2. Tom Hiddleston knocks this role as Loki out of the park, and it's crazy to think about that the villain from the original Thor movie and the original Avengers movie is still around all these years later and probably has the best character arc in the entire MCU. The supporting cast is all great. They added Ki Hee Kwan as Ouroboros, and he does a great job. I love Mobius. I think Mobius is one of the best Marvel characters, which he has no reason being, because he is just this random side character, but he is fantastic. They give all the side characters a little bit more to do this time around. They give them more backstory, and that just kind of plays into the whole overarching theme of kind of friends and family and the thing. And what they do with Kang is interesting. I know they're in kind of a tough spot with Jonathan Majors as Kang, but what they do with him, tying him back into this season, I thought worked really well. It's really well written with all the time stuff, is really interesting. And that storyline, I know they were saying they might move away from Kang. Whether they do Kang or Doom, I think that this is the direction they need to go. They need to have a set plan, not just be jumping around with all this different stuff. I like the direction they're going, whether it be with Kang or Doom, whatever they end up choosing. I couldn't recommend this show more. Where they leave it off is great. I hope that Loki and the whole TVA crew show up again, whether it be in Deadpool 3, Avengers Secret Wars, whatever it is. I think we need to bring these characters back. And yeah, like I said, where the Marvels may miss for some people, I think a lot of people are going to really like Loki. So kind of a mixed basket for Marvel, some very middle-of-the-road stuff. They've shown they can still hit those highs, though. You can't completely write them off, because they can still turn in stuff like Loki. They just need to focus on making quality projects instead of putting out like 80 things a year. I know next year Deadpool 3 is really the only movie they have slated. I think that's going to be great, and hopefully that'll help get them back on track. But hey, thanks for watching the video. If you could spare a like and a subscription, that would be greatly appreciated. We cover a lot of great stuff over here, Marvel, Star Wars, other movies, video games, whatever you like, we cover it. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll be back soon with another video. Thanks.